What if I told you MacGyver's motorcycle wasn't just a cool prop, but a carefully engineered character in its own right? What if the bike you remember roaring across deserts and back roads hid production secrets worthy of the Phoenix Foundation? These are 20 weird facts about MacGyver's Harley-Davidson that will completely change how you see this iconic machine. Number 20, it was not his first on-screen motorcycle. Here's something most fans forget. Before the blacked-out Harley-Davidson became synonymous with MacGyver, the character briefly rode other motorcycles in early development tests and promotional concepts. During pre-production, the creative team had not yet locked in the visual identity of the show. Transportation coordinators sourced several options, including lighter Japanese dual sport bikes that were practical, nimble, and easy for stunt riders to manage. On paper, they made sense. They were reliable, affordable, and versatile enough for city streets or dirt paths. But when cameras rolled, something felt off. Those bikes looked too modern, too refined, too technological. They carried plastic fairings, sharper lines, and a contemporary silhouette that clashed with a character built around improvisation and stripped-down problem-solving. MacGyver wasn't supposed to look like he ordered his ride from a futuristic catalog. He was the kind of guy who could rebuild an engine with scrap wire and a borrowed wrench. The motorcycle had to reflect that philosophy. When a Harley-Davidson was introduced into the test lineup, the tone shifted instantly. The V-twin engine, exposed metal, and mechanical honesty grounded the character. It felt analog, fixable, understandable, no digital dash, no unnecessary bodywork, just steel, rubber, and combustion. Internally, the debate reportedly lasted longer than viewers might expect. Some argued the lighter bikes would simplify filming logistics, but visually, the Harley won. It looked like something MacGyver would actually choose. Once that decision was made, earlier footage was quietly shelved. The Harley became canon. Audiences never saw the alternatives, and over time, it became impossible to imagine the character on anything else. That American V-twin silhouette didn't just transport him from mission to mission, it helped define him. The choice wasn't about horsepower or specs, it was about identity. Number 19, multiple identical Harleys were built for different purposes. There wasn't just one MacGyver motorcycle. There were several, and each one had a specific job. Television production moves at a relentless pace, and relying on a single machine for an entire season would have been a gamble. To maintain consistency and protect the schedule, the crew operated what was essentially a small, carefully matched fleet. The primary bike, often referred to as the hero motorcycle, was reserved for close-ups and dialogue scenes. This was the pristine version. Its paint was maintained meticulously. Chrome and black finishes were polished or carefully dulled depending on the lighting setup. Every scratch was documented for continuity. If a scene required a specific scuff from an earlier episode, that mark was either preserved or replicated intentionally. Then there was the stunt bike. This version was mechanically reinforced. Foot pegs were strengthened. Crash protection was added in ways that stayed hidden from standard camera angles. Suspension components were sometimes tuned slightly differently to absorb harder landings or rough terrain. While it looked identical on screen, purists examining it up close might have spotted subtle mechanical differences. A third motorcycle often served as a backup if a clutch cable snapped or a throttle linkage failed. Mid-shoot, production could pivot immediately. There was no time to wait for emergency repairs when daylight was fading or location permits were expiring. That redundancy ensured the illusion of indestructibility remained intact. To the audience, it was always the same trusted Harley, week after week, episode after episode. Whether crossing desert trails or weaving through city streets, the motorcycle appeared endlessly reliable. Behind the scenes, that consistency was achieved through preparation, duplication, and disciplined maintenance. The bike felt singular on screen, but in reality, it was a coordinated operation designed to keep the action rolling without interruption. Number 18. The exhaust note was sometimes dubbed in post-production. That deep Harley rumble you remember. It was not always the authentic sound captured during filming. Production audio is rarely as clean as it seems. Wind noise, microphone interference, nearby traffic, and safety restrictions often meant the motorcycle was operating at moderate speeds even when the scene suggested aggressive acceleration. The raw audio from those takes didn't always carry the dramatic punch editors wanted. So, the sound department stepped in. Specialized recordings of Harley-Davidson fist twin engines were captured separately under controlled conditions. Microphones were placed strategically near exhaust outlets and engine cases to capture the full resonance and character of the motor. These recordings were then layered into scenes during post-production, carefully synchronized to throttle movement and gear shifts. In some cases, the on-screen motorcycle might be cruising calmly, while the soundtrack suggests a harder pull through the rev range. That subtle exaggeration heightened tension without increasing physical risk. It also allowed directors to create sonic continuity across episodes, even if different bikes or muffler setups were used behind the scenes. Dedicated fans with sharp ears have occasionally noted slight tonal variations between seasons. That likely reflects differences in mixing techniques or recording equipment rather than mechanical changes. But the overall effect remained consistent. The rumble became an audio signature. When that sound entered a scene, it signaled arrival, momentum, resolution. The weird part is how invisible the process is. Viewers associate the sound directly with the machine. In reality, it was a carefully engineered element of storytelling. The Harley didn't just move MacGyver physically. Its amplified exhaust note moved the narrative emotionally. Number 17. The bike was intentionally kept mechanically simple. At a time when motorcycles were gradually incorporating more advanced electronics and instrumentation, McGyver's Harley was deliberately kept old school. This wasn't coincidence. It was thematic alignment. The character built solutions from everyday materials. He distrusted unnecessary complexity. His motorcycle needed to reflect that mindset. Producers steered away from models featuring overly modern dashboards or visually complicated components. The chosen configuration emphasized exposed mechanics, air-cooled engine fins, clearly visible carburetor components, minimal bodywork. You could imagine MacGyver diagnosing a misfire with nothing more than a matchbook and a borrowed screwdriver. That image reinforced his identity without a single line of dialogue. Even as newer Harley models became available during the show's run, the production leaned toward configurations that visually communicated rugged durability over cutting-edge innovation. Mechanical transparency mattered. The bike needed to look understandable. This simplicity also served practical purposes. Fewer electronic systems meant fewer unpredictable failures during action sequences. The motorcycle had to start consistently under tight filming schedules. It had to idle under hot lights and repeat takes without drama. Mechanical straightforwardness made that reliability achievable. In many ways, the Harley mirrored MacGyver himself. Durable, adaptable, resistant to unnecessary complication. It wasn't the flashiest machine on screen, but it felt dependable. That visual honesty strengthened the character's credibility. The motorcycle wasn't a high-tech gadget. It was a tool. And like every tool MacGyver used, it looked like something he could fix if it broke. Number 16. The blacked-out aesthetic was a calculated character choice.
Each side. Some kind of merge in the middle. They like both, but mostly
The dark, understated look of MacGyver's Harley was not random styling. Early production meetings focused heavily on how the motorcycle would integrate with wardrobe, lighting, and tone. Chrome-heavy Harleys were popular and visually striking, but too much shine can become a problem under studio lights. Reflections flare, glare distracts, and overly polished surfaces can feel flashy. MacGyver was not flashy. The decision was made to minimize excessive chrome and lean into a darker, more subdued aesthetic. The result was a motorcycle that looked purposeful rather than decorative. Blacked-out elements helped it blend seamlessly into urban alleys, wooded back roads, and desert landscapes. The bike never stole the frame. It supported it. Cinematographers appreciated the controlled reflections. Fewer harsh highlights meant cleaner exposures and more flexibility in camera placement. The darker finish also created stronger silhouettes, especially during sunset or low-light sequences. That visual consistency mattered across seasons. All, symbolically, the aesthetic reinforced personality. MacGyver wasn't a show-off biker rolling into town to attract attention. He was focused, direct, practical. His motorcycle looked like a working companion, not a trophy piece. It suggested utility over vanity. The quiet brilliance of this choice is that most viewers never consciously notice it. They simply accept the bike as an extension of the character. That cohesion between machine and man strengthens immersion. The Harley's subdued appearance didn't just make filming easier, it deepened storytelling. Number 15. The motorcycle was written into scenes to avoid expensive car chases.
But when things get too dicey, they call in this guy, stunt double.
Television budgets in the late 1980s were not limitless, and elaborate car chases with multiple vehicles, police escorts, and street closures were expensive logistical nightmares. The Harley-Davidson quietly solved that problem. Writers often structured episodes so MacGyver could maneuver through tight alleys, narrow dirt paths, or crowded market streets where full-size cars could not follow. This allowed production to stage dynamic pursuit scenes with fewer extras, fewer permits, and significantly reduced risk. A single motorcycle weaving through traffic feels faster and more dangerous on camera than two sedans chasing each other in straight lines. The bike's agility became a storytelling shortcut. Instead of blowing up vehicles or staging multi-car collisions, directors could capture tension with a handheld camera, a revving V-twin, and a few well-placed obstacles. In several episodes, you can spot how scenes were framed to emphasize speed while actually being filmed at moderate pace for safety. Tight camera angles, quick cuts, and engine sound design did the rest. The Harley became a budget-friendly action multiplier. It delivered cinematic energy without blockbuster spending. That practical advantage kept it recurring throughout the series, not just as character flavor, but as a cost-efficient production strategy hiding in plain sight. Number 14. The riding posture was adjusted to suit Richard Dean Anderson's frame.
All of the guns and bullets and exploding. You might want to cover up. That's our way out.
MacGyver's relaxed but confident riding posture was not accidental. Richard Dean Anderson is taller than many viewers realize, and early test rides revealed that stock handlebar and seat configurations did not create the visual silhouette producers wanted. The bike was subtly adjusted to achieve a balanced, natural stance on camera. Slight handlebar positioning changes improved leverage and comfort during long shooting days. Seat padding was modified to prevent fatigue during repeated takes. Even foot control placement was evaluated, so his legs would rest at an angle that looked effortless rather than cramped. On screen, he appears casually in control, elbows loose, shoulders relaxed. That posture sells authenticity. If an actor looks uncomfortable on a motorcycle, audiences sense it immediately. Stunt coordinators also ensured that any ergonomic changes did not compromise handling during action shots. The result was a machine tailored to both performance and visual storytelling. It was never about flashy customization. It was about body language. When MacGyver swings a leg over the Harley and settles into the saddle, it feels like second nature. That comfort was engineered through careful adjustment, not luck. Number 13. The bike occasionally carried hidden camera mounts.
Heavy metal thunder. Racing.
Certain dynamic riding shots required more than clever editing. To capture close, immersive angles, the production team discreetly installed temporary camera mounts on the Harley. These mounts were designed to be removable and positioned in ways that would remain invisible to standard framing. Small brackets attached near the frame or under the tank allowed lightweight cameras to face the rider without external rigs cluttering the shot. This technique gave viewers intimate perspective during motion sequences, especially when MacGyver navigated to rough terrain. The mounts had to be secure enough to handle vibration from the air-cooled engine and road shock. Engineers padded contact points to avoid damaging paint or chrome. After filming, the hardware was removed and the bike restored to its clean appearance. The clever part? Most audiences never realized these shots required mechanical adaptation. They assumed a follow vehicle captured everything. In reality, some of the most memorable riding footage came directly from the Harley itself. The motorcycle became both transportation and camera platform, contributing actively to the show's visual language rather than passively existing in the background. Number 12. The Harley symbolized freedom during darker story arcs. MacGyver often dealt with serious themes: espionage, betrayal, environmental crises, and moral dilemmas. During heavier episodes, the Harley functioned as visual relief. Directors frequently inserted transitional riding shots between tense scenes: a solitary stretch of highway, wind cutting across open desert, engine rumble steady and grounding. These sequences provided emotional reset for viewers. Without dialogue, without explosions, just movement. The motorcycle represented independence and clarity. When situations grew complicated, MacGyver would ride. It was cinematic breathing space. Editors strategically placed these moments to pace episodes and prevent tonal overload. The recurring visual of the Harley against open landscapes reinforced the character's inner compass. He might face conspiracies and chaos, but on the road, he regained focus. That symbolic role elevated the bike beyond mere transportation. It became part of the storytelling rhythm. The rumble between scenes wasn't filler, it was structure. Over time, audiences subconsciously associated the Harley with problem-solving clarity. When the engine started, resolution was coming. That subtle narrative reinforcement made the motorcycle emotionally powerful in ways few television vehicles achieve. Number 11. Mechanical reliability was constantly monitored off camera.
This happen a lot?
Despite its rugged on-screen persona, the Harley required careful oversight to meet weekly production demands. A dedicated mechanic regularly inspected critical components between shoots: chain tension, brake integrity, clutch response, tire wear. Even minor mechanical hiccups could disrupt tight filming schedules. The crew maintained detailed service logs to track performance and preempt breakdowns. Heat from repeated takes under studio lighting could stress engine components. Dust from outdoor desert shoots accelerated wear. Rather than risk dramatic mid-scene failure, preventive maintenance became routine. In some cases, consumable parts were replaced earlier than necessary, purely to guarantee reliability. That vigilance ensured the bike appeared indestructible on screen. Ironically, the illusion of rugged independence relied heavily on structured care behind the scenes. The Harley's dependable image was crafted through discipline and planning. Viewers saw a machine that could outrun danger and survive harsh conditions. What they did not see was the quiet team making sure it would start on the first try, every time the director called action. Number 10. The fuel tank was occasionally modified for longer shooting days. Television production rarely unfolds in neat, convenient bursts. Some riding sequences required repeated takes across long, rural stretches, and constant refueling would slow everything down. To prevent interruptions, the production team occasionally swapped in a slightly modified fuel tank with increased capacity. The change was subtle and visually indistinguishable from the standard configuration, preserving continuity. The larger tank reduced downtime between resets, especially during remote location shoots where fuel access was limited. What makes this weird is that viewers never see any difference, yet the extended range quietly shaped how certain scenes were filmed. Instead of cutting between short bursts of riding, directors could capture longer, uninterrupted passes, giving chase scenes a more authentic rhythm. The modification also minimized the risk of fuel slosh affecting performance during aggressive maneuvers. For safety, the tank was carefully balanced to avoid altering weight distribution in noticeable ways. After filming wrapped on those sequences, the original tank often returned for close-ups. It was a hidden logistical upgrade, never mentioned on screen, but critical to keeping momentum during demanding outdoor shoots. The Harley appeared endlessly ready for adventure, and in reality, thoughtful engineering ensured it stayed that way, without constant pit stops breaking the illusion. Number 9. The tires were sometimes swapped for terrain-specific scenes.
And whatever comes our way.
While the motorcycle looked consistent week after week, the tires occasionally changed depending on filming conditions. Urban episodes favored more street-oriented tread for smoother tracking shots and predictable grip on pavement. Desert or off-road scenes, however, required chunkier patterns to maintain traction on loose dirt. The swaps were subtle enough that most viewers never noticed, but they significantly affected handling. Stunt coordinators evaluated terrain before each major riding sequence and selected rubber accordingly. The goal was simple: maximize control while preserving the Harley's visual identity. Even minor changes in tread depth could influence braking distance and corner stability. By tailoring tires to each environment, the crew reduced risk without altering the motorcycle's recognizable silhouette. It's a clever compromise between authenticity and practicality. From the audience's perspective, MacGyver rides the same unstoppable machine across asphalt and sand alike. Behind the scenes, though, that adaptability came from deliberate preparation. Each tire change ensured the bike responded predictably under pressure, protecting both rider and production schedule. The illusion of effortless versatility was carefully constructed through smart mechanical choices. Number 8. The bike was sometimes trailered for safety illusions.
This is Richard Dean Anderson.
Not every high-speed moment involved actual high speed. In certain dialogue-heavy riding scenes, the Harley was mounted onto a low-profile trailer towed by a camera vehicle. This allowed actors to focus on performance without managing throttle, clutch, and road hazards simultaneously. The technique created the illusion of motion while maintaining controlled conditions. Wind machines and strategic camera angles completed the effect. This method also enabled tighter framing and clearer audio capture during conversations. Viewers believed MacGyver was navigating busy roads while delivering lines, but in reality, safety dictated a controlled setup. The trailer remained carefully concealed, and post-production editing removed any hints of its presence. This approach balanced realism with responsibility. It protected cast and crew while preserving cinematic intensity. The practice was common in television, yet rarely acknowledged. For MacGyver's Harley, it meant certain scenes looked dynamic without exposing anyone to unnecessary risk. The result feels authentic, but the engineering behind the illusion was meticulous. Number 7. Subtle cosmetic aging was applied for continuity.
Here's the sprocket teeth are all worn down. What we're gonna do is...
Across seasons, the Harley needed to look lived in, but not neglected. Too pristine, and it would feel unrealistic. Too worn, and continuity problems would arise. To manage this balance, the art department occasionally applied controlled cosmetic aging. Light scuffs, faint dusting, or carefully placed road grime were added before certain shoots. These details suggested real-world use without permanent damage. If a scratch appeared during filming, it was documented and either maintained or carefully blended out in future episodes. This consistency required meticulous tracking. Photographs were taken after major scenes to preserve visual references. The goal was to maintain a believable history for the motorcycle without letting wear spiral out of control. It's a subtle craft. Audiences subconsciously register authenticity through minor imperfections. By guiding that process intentionally, the production team ensured the Harley looked like MacGyver's trusted companion, not a rotating showroom prop. That controlled aging contributed to the sense that the bike shared his journey across missions and seasons. Number 6. The kickstand scenes were choreographed for character tone. Even small actions were intentional. The way MacGyver parked and dismounted the Harley was choreographed to reinforce personality. Directors avoided aggressive, showy stops. Instead, he often rolled in smoothly, cut the engine calmly, and lowered the kickstand with quiet precision. This understated motion aligned with his thoughtful demeanor. In tense scenes, however, parking became sharper and more urgent, subtly reflecting rising stakes. These micro-movements were discussed during blocking rehearsals. The motorcycle became an extension of emotional pacing. A hard stop could heighten tension. A gentle glide suggested control. By paying attention to something as simple as how the bike rested on its stand, the production reinforced storytelling beats without dialogue. Viewers rarely notice these details consciously, yet they shape perception. The Harley wasn't just a ride, it was body language on two wheels. Each arrival carried tone, and even the final click of the stand touching pavement played its part in defining MacGyver's steady, deliberate character. Number 5, the motorcycle doubled as a mobile prop storage unit. Here's something almost no one talks about. The Harley occasionally carried hidden storage for small props required in rapid transitions. MacGyver was famous for improvisation, and certain episodes demanded that he quickly access tools, maps, or field equipment immediately after dismounting. Rather than rely entirely on off-camera handoffs, the production team discreetly utilized saddle compartments or temporary pouches mounted out of frame. These additions were carefully positioned so they would not disrupt the motorcycle's silhouette. From the viewer's perspective, he simply arrived and retrieved exactly what he needed. Behind the scenes, that timing required coordination. Assistant prop masters would preload specific items depending on the day's script pages. In some cases, compartments were padded to prevent rattling that could interfere with audio capture. The weird part is that the Harley became a narrative bridge. It physically transported not just the character, but the tools required for the next problem-solving beat. That integration saved time during tight schedules and reduced the need for awkward cutaways. The motorcycle's practicality reinforced the show's theme of preparedness. It felt organic, as if MacGyver always carried what he might need, yet it was actually meticulous staging. The bike's apparent simplicity concealed a subtle production advantage. It wasn't just transportation, it was rolling infrastructure for storytelling efficiency. Number 4, wind direction was engineered to enhance the hero's silhouette. Outdoor riding scenes were not left to nature alone. Cinematographers understood that hair movement, jacket flow, and background dust all contribute to heroic imagery. When natural wind was insufficient or inconsistent, controlled wind machines were strategically placed to amplify motion. This gave MacGyver's riding shots dynamic energy, even at moderate speeds. The Harley's forward momentum felt stronger when jacket sleeves rippled and loose dust trailed behind the rear tire. Directors coordinated wind angles so nothing disrupted the bike's clean lines. Too much crosswind could distort the silhouette or push exhaust fumes into frame. Instead, airflow was carefully managed to complement camera placement. This attention to detail made the motorcycle appear more powerful and cinematic than raw footage might suggest. The strange part is that viewers associate the effect with engine strength, not environmental manipulation. That illusion was crafted intentionally. By shaping airflow, production enhanced the emotional weight of each departure scene. It reinforced independence and drive without altering the bike mechanically. The Harley remained mechanically unchanged, yet visually amplified. The result? A machine that seemed larger than life, even when cruising within safe filming speeds. Number 3, lighting adjustments were tailored to the bike's contours. Motorcycles present unique lighting challenges. Chrome, curves, and exposed metal can create unpredictable reflections. To ensure consistency, lighting crews often adjusted intensity and angle specifically around the Harley. Diffusers softened harsh highlights on the tank. Flags blocked stray glare from engine fins. Reflectors subtly traced the frame to emphasize its structure during nighttime scenes. This wasn't vanity, it was clarity. The bike had to read clearly on camera without distracting hotspots. In darker episodes, small hidden lights were sometimes placed low to create a dramatic outline effect along the wheels and engine casing. These techniques made the motorcycle pop against shadowed backgrounds. What makes this weird is how much care went into presenting something meant to look effortless. The Harley's brooding presence wasn't accidental, it was sculpted with light. Cinematographers treated it almost like a co-star, ensuring it never vanished into darkness or overpowered the frame. By controlling reflections and highlights, they preserved the bike's rugged authenticity while enhancing visual impact. The audience simply saw a cool motorcycle. The crew saw a reflective surface requiring precision engineering. That silent collaboration elevated the Harley from prop to visual anchor within countless scenes. Number 2, insurance policies influenced how aggressively it could be ridden. Behind every dramatic lean into a corner stood a stack of insurance paperwork. Production insurance placed limits on what could be performed by the lead actor versus a professional stunt rider. These policies directly shaped how certain sequences were choreographed. If a maneuver exceeded agreed safety parameters, it required a double. As a result, scenes were storyboarded carefully to mask transitions between rider and stunt performer. Helmet angles, camera cuts, and body positioning were meticulously matched. This constraint created creative problem-solving opportunities. Directors used close-ups for actor-driven emotion, then cut wide for dynamic writing. The Harley's capabilities may have exceeded what viewers saw, but contractual boundaries kept risk controlled. In high-speed illusions, camera tricks amplified intensity rather than a raw velocity. Insurance considerations might sound mundane, yet they influenced pacing, shot composition, and editing style. The motorcycle's on-screen boldness was balanced against real-world caution. That tension between daring and discipline defined many action beats. The audience experienced freedom and speed. The production operated within structured safety frameworks. The result felt spontaneous, but it was governed by calculated restraint behind the scenes. Number 1, the Harley became a character without ever speaking.
Floating to space, I like smoking lightning.
Here's the wildest truth of all. Over time, the Harley transcended its role as a vehicle. It developed a narrative presence. When it appeared, it signaled momentum. When it was absent, something felt different. The motorcycle accompanied MacGyver through evolving story arcs, geographic shifts, and tonal changes. It aged alongside him. Its consistent visual identity provided stability in a show built on unpredictable scenarios. Directors instinctively used its arrival as punctuation. The rumble in the distance often preceded resolution. Unlike flashy cinematic vehicles built for spectacle, this Harley thrived on subtlety. It didn't fire rockets or transform, it simply endured. That endurance mirrored the protagonist's resilience. Fans began associating the machine with problem-solving itself. It wasn't anthropomorphized overtly, yet it carried emotional weight. The strange magic lies in that restraint. By never overemphasizing the bike, the series allowed it to integrate organically into audience memory. Decades later, mention MacGyver, and many people picture him astride that Harley, engine idling, ready to ride toward another challenge. The motorcycle never delivered a line of dialogue, yet it communicated reliability, independence, and grit. In television terms, that is rare. It became a silent partner in every mission, woven so tightly into identity that separating character from machine feels impossible. From hidden modifications to symbolic storytelling power, MacGyver's Harley-Davidson was far more than a cool ride. It was engineering, illusion, discipline, and character, all wrapped in steel and rubber. If any of these facts surprised you, drop a comment below and tell us which one changed how you see this iconic machine.